And why, of all nights, did this happen at one of the most public charity galas in Hollywood? To understand that moment, we have to rewind. Because this wasn't about a hand. It was about power, perception, and betrayal wrapped in a designer glove. But first, let's set the scene. The Baby2Baby Gala has always been an elite playground of the world's richest and most photographed women. It's not just about charity, it's about being seen. The gowns are chosen to whisper humility while screaming wealth. Every movement is a PR chess piece. Meghan knew that better than anyone. After the fallout from her Netflix deal cancellation and the endless media backlash, she needed a redemption arc. And what better place to start than at an event celebrating compassion and motherhood? Only this time, the crowd wasn't entirely on her side. Serena Williams wasn't just another guest. She was the symbol of authenticity, resilience, and hard-earned respect. The two women had shared headlines, vacations, and secrets once. Meghan was even a guest at Serena's wedding. But somewhere between royal drama and Hollywood ambition, something cracked. The warmth between them evaporated, replaced by polite distance and private resentment. And yet, here they were, seated together again. Cameras rolling. 1,000 eyes pretending not to stare. Serena looked radiant, her confidence effortless. Meghan, on the other hand, appeared rehearsed, her laughter slightly delayed, her posture too precise. And Meghan reached out, her fingers wrapping around Serena's hand in what looked like a friendly gesture. But it wasn't received that way. Serena froze. Her jaw tightened. Her hand stayed still, like marble under Meghan's grasp. There was no squeeze in return, just a quiet tension that made the surrounding air feel electric. Then, slowly, Serena leaned forward, her lips barely moving, and whispered those words that would send shockwaves through every corner of the internet. "Let go of my hand." In that moment, everything, the charity, the glamour, the carefully curated smiles, disappeared. All that remained was raw, human discomfort. And yet, Meghan didn't release her immediately. Her smile only widened, eyes darting toward the cameras as if begging them to capture the illusion before it shattered. But illusion has a habit of betraying its maker. Within hours, the video went viral. Social media erupted. Hashtags like #LetGoOfMyHand and #Serena versus Meghan trended worldwide. PR analysts called it a friendship implosion in real time. Fans dissected body language, slowed down footage, zoomed into micro-expressions. Some claimed Serena's lips formed the words clearly. Others argued it was taken out of context. But deep down, everyone felt it. This wasn't just about optics. It was about two powerful women trapped in the spectacle of their own making. So how did it get to this point? How did a friendship once built on mutual empowerment turn into a public standoff under chandeliers and flashbulbs? To answer that, we need to go back to the beginning, to the day they met, and the strange balance of admiration and ambition that would define everything between them. Because this wasn't the first time Meghan had reached for Serena. The first time it happened, Serena didn't pull away. It was 2010 at a glitzy Super Bowl party in Miami. Meghan, then a rising actress, had mingled her way through the celebrity crowd, charming everyone with her eloquence and ambition. Serena remembered her as bright-eyed and funny. They hit it off instantly, two women in male-dominated industries, both craving excellence and respect. They exchanged numbers, kept in touch, and soon, their friendship became a small media obsession. But as Meghan's star ascended, so did the imbalance between them. Serena, the champion, had earned her status through sweat and discipline. Meghan's rise came through charm, networking, and eventually, royal association. One forged a legacy on the court, the other through spectacle. And yet, they both found validation in each other, until fame made it impossible to separate friendship from performance. Years later, when Meghan married Prince Harry, Serena stood by her side. She defended Meghan publicly when tabloids attacked her. She even called Meghan the strongest person I know. But over time, the tone changed. Serena grew quieter, less visible, less supportive. Her interviews shifted from warm praise to polite distance. Behind the scenes, sources say, Serena's team had grown wary. They reportedly noticed Meghan's tendency to blur the lines between private moments and publicity. One insider claimed, Serena realized she was being used to bolster Meghan's image, not celebrated as a friend. So by the time the 2025 Baby2Baby Gala rolled around, the warmth was gone. What remained was obligation. Meghan needed Serena to look forgiving. Serena needed Meghan to keep her distance. But that's not what happened. Even before the hand grab moment, guests described the atmosphere at their table as icy. Meghan's laughter rang hollow. Serena spent most of the night engaged with other athletes and donors. When Meghan tried to bring up old memories, Wimbledon, royal visits, their shared motherhood, Serena's responses were curt. One witness said, "It felt like watching an ex-couple pretending to still be friends." And maybe that's what it was, a breakup without the romance. Now here's where it gets interesting. According to a journalist seated 2 tables away, Meghan's PR consultant had been feeding photographers information all night. Specific cues, specific angles. "We'll have Meghan and Serena together soon," one handler allegedly said into an earpiece. Everything was timed for the grand gesture. The handhold that would make tomorrow's headlines about rekindled friendship instead of royal desperation. But real emotions don't follow PR scripts. When Serena felt Meghan's grip tighten, something in her snapped. It wasn't rage, it was self-preservation. After years of watching Meghan turn private moments into publicity, Serena was done playing the role of prop. That whisper, "Let go of my hand," wasn't just about the physical act. It was a boundary years in the making, and the internet loved every second of it. The memes came first, then the think pieces. When boundaries speak louder than words, one headline read, "Serena's power move at Baby2Baby," another declared. Analysts praised Serena for defending her space gracefully. Meghan's team scrambled to control the narrative, leaking statements about misunderstood affection and overanalyzed gestures. But the damage was already done. Because authenticity doesn't need explaining, and performance always looks desperate next to truth. But maybe there's more to it. Maybe Meghan wasn't just trying to force a photo op. Maybe she was reaching out, literally, for something that had already slipped away. Friendship, acceptance, control. The feeling of maturing again in a world that had turned against her. The grip wasn't just physical, it was emotional. And when Serena refused it, Meghan's entire strategy crumbled. That's what makes this story more than gossip. It's a mirror. It's about what happens when someone builds an identity out of other people's validation and suddenly finds no one left to hold on to. As the gala ended and guests began to leave, Meghan's team reportedly rushed her out through a side exit. Serena, however, stayed behind, posing for photos with donors, signing memorabilia, laughing freely again. That visual contrast alone told the whole story. One woman walked out under a shadow of scandal, the other walked out standing taller than ever. But this was only the beginning. Because what the world didn't know was that this moment, this 5-second viral clip, was just the surface. Behind it lay a private history of silent rivalry, emotional distance, and one last phone call that would set the stage for everything that followed. That call happened just days before the gala, and it changed the course of their friendship forever. And when you hear what Meghan said on that call, you'll understand why Serena's reaction that night wasn't shock. It was the result of years of patience finally running out. Because some words you can forget, but a betrayal wrapped in a smile, that one never fades. The night might have ended, but the story was just beginning. And what came next would change everything, forever. The Pacific Design Center in Los Angeles shimmered like a diamond that evening. You could feel the wealth in the air, the clinking of crystal glasses, the rhythmic hum of whispered conversations, and the endless shimmer of sequins and diamonds gliding under golden chandeliers. It wasn't just another fundraiser. It was the night every celebrity wanted to be seen at. The 2025 Baby2Baby Gala. But beneath the polished smiles and perfect lighting, something was off. People felt it before they even saw it. A silent tension radiating from one particular table near the front, where Serena Williams and Meghan Markle were seated together. They hadn't been photographed side by side in over 2 years. Not since that infamous tennis match where Meghan's appearance in Serena's VIP box stole more attention than the match itself. Tonight, though, they were back in the same frame. But this time, the story would not be about solidarity. It would be about the breaking point of a friendship the world once envied. The cameras had no idea what was about to unfold. Meghan arrived first. As always, she knew how to make an entrance. The gown, custom Dior, off-white satin, draped to perfection. The walk, rehearsed, Deliberate, a gentle tilt of her head every few seconds to catch the flash just right. She was smiling, but not with her eyes. Her team followed discreetly behind, murmuring into earpieces, adjusting, guiding, orchestrating. Table 3, one of them whispered. Next to Williams. Her smile faltered for half a second. That name still carried weight. Serena Williams, global icon, 23-time Grand Slam champion, mother, legend. The kind of woman who doesn't need to prove anything. The kind of woman Meghan had once called her sister. Serena arrived minutes later, without the PR entourage, without theatrics. Just confidence. A deep emerald gown that glimmered like armor. Her husband, Alexis, was by her side, relaxed but observant. They moved through the room with ease, shaking hands, laughing, owning every step of their path. When Serena spotted Meghan, there was a flicker of recognition, the kind that comes from a shared past too complicated to summarize. They nodded, smiled briefly, but it wasn't warmth. It was obligation. And that's where the night began to shift. From the outside, everything seemed perfect. Meghan leaned in for air kisses, Serena returned them. Photographers captured what looked like a tender reunion. But those close enough saw something different. Serena's smile dropping the instant Meghan turned her head. The conversation was polite at first. Small talk about motherhood, mutual friends, the weather. Meghan, ever conscious of optics, placed her hand on Serena's arm while talking, laughing louder than usual. Serena stayed composed, distant, offering short answers that gave nothing away. Still training? Meghan asked with that same wide, PR smile. Always, Serena said simply, sipping her drink. Then came the silence. The kind that stretches between two people who used to know everything about each other and now barely recognize what remains. The speeches began. Celebrities took the stage, children's stories were shared, checks were presented. But at table 3, every glance, every movement, every breath was being scrutinized. Meghan leaned in again, whispering, gesturing toward the stage. Serena nodded but kept her distance. And then came the moment, the one that would define the night forever. It happened so fast, no one noticed until it was too late. Meghan reached for Serena's hand. Not gently, not casually, but with intent. Her fingers wrapped around Serena's like a lock. Cameras flashed. You could almost feel Meghan's thought. This is it. This is the shot they'll use tomorrow. But Serena didn't squeeze back. Her entire body tensed. Her posture stiffened. She glanced down at their hands, then up at Meghan's face. The smile remained, but the eyes, cold, calculating, told a different story. Witnesses say the air changed. You could feel the discomfort ripple through the table. A few guests looked away. Others froze, pretending to focus on their plates. Then Serena leaned in slightly, her lips barely moving, and whispered something that made Meghan's smile twitch for the first time all night. Let go of my hand. The words were calm, controlled, but sharp enough to cut through the noise of the entire gala. For a brief second, Meghan hesitated, as if unsure whether to release or keep performing. Her eyes darted toward the cameras, then back at Serena. But the firmness in Serena's stare left her no choice. Slowly, Meghan withdrew her hand, trying to mask the tension with a laugh. Too late. The moment was already captured, multiple angles, multiple interpretations. And like wildfire, it spread. By midnight, clips were circulating on social media. Some slowed the footage to analyze every micro-expression. Others added dramatic captions. Serena snaps at Meghan Markle, or the hand that broke Hollywood's friendship. Within hours, the hashtags #LetGoOfMyHand and #Serena versus Meghan trended worldwide. PR teams panicked, influencers speculated, and fans picked sides. But here's what few people know. That single moment at the table wasn't isolated. It was the culmination of weeks, maybe even years, of quiet resentment. Insiders claim Meghan had been desperate to repair her image after the recent Netflix fallout. Her team allegedly pitched the idea of reuniting with Serena publicly to soften her persona, to rebrand her as the comeback queen of compassion. Serena, on the other hand, wanted no part of the performance. She'd seen too many headlines twist genuine moments into marketing tools. According to one anonymous attendee, Serena had made it clear beforehand, "We're fine, but I'm not doing fake." Yet Meghan couldn't resist the optics. She needed the illusion of reconciliation. And when the cameras turned their gaze toward that table, instinct took over. What Meghan didn't anticipate was that Serena, unlike many others in Meghan's orbit, wouldn't play along. Because while Meghan built her power through perception, Serena built hers through authenticity. The world saw right through the act. By the next morning, every outlet from the Daily Mail to People magazine had dissected the interaction. Analysts weighed in, psychologists broke down the power dynamics, and body language experts declared Serena's move a masterclass in boundary setting. Even the comments section turned poetic. "That wasn't just a hand. That was control slipping away," one viewer wrote. Others weren't so kind. Serena humiliated Meghan in front of the entire world. But humiliation wasn't the right word. Liberation was. For Serena, that night wasn't about revenge or spite. It was about peace. Years of loyalty had been drained by one-sided narratives, misused trust, and public manipulation. She was tired. Tired of being used as a prop in someone else's redemption arc. And for Meghan, the fallout was immediate. Her team scrambled to issue statements, claiming the moment was misinterpreted and that Serena and Meghan remained dear friends. But Serena said nothing. Her silence was louder than any statement could ever be. In Hollywood, silence speaks volumes. Those close to Serena later revealed she left the gala early, skipping the after-party entirely. Meghan, meanwhile, lingered just long enough to be photographed mingling, though no one approached her willingly. The energy had shifted. The whispers had started. Behind the scenes, Serena's camp began receiving calls from journalists looking for comment. They declined every single one. No denials, no clarifications, just quiet control. Because sometimes, the best way to end a story is to stop feeding it. But Meghan couldn't do that. Not when her public identity depended on narrative. Not when silence meant surrender. Within 48 hours, her PR machine went into overdrive. Carefully curated Instagram posts, a thank you note to Baby2Baby, and a recycled photo carousel emphasizing female friendship and empowerment. But the internet wasn't fooled. They noticed Serena wasn't tagged. It was a message hidden in plain sight. The sisterhood was over. And yet, as the public argued and headlines multiplied, something else began to surface. Whispers of a private phone call that took place just days before the gala. A call that might explain Serena's visible frustration that night. Because according to insiders, that call wasn't about charity or friendship or reconciliation. It was a warning that Meghan ignored. And if that's true, if Meghan really tried to choreograph the entire reunion for publicity, then Serena's words that night weren't just spontaneous. They were the result of weeks of manipulation finally hitting a wall. Let's pause and think about this. Have you ever reached your breaking point quietly, in public, where you had to stay composed while every muscle in your body screamed enough? That's what that whisper was. It wasn't anger. It was exhaustion, wrapped in control. Serena Williams didn't just say, "Let go of my hand." She was saying, "Let go of the performance. Let go of me." And the world heard it. The gala might have been designed for charity, but that night became something else, a spectacle of power, pride, and perception. Two women once united by ambition now stood divided by authenticity. One holding on, the other letting go. But this was only the beginning. Because if you thought the hand grab was explosive, wait until you hear what Meghan said on that phone call before the gala, and how it revealed a side of her Serena never wanted the world to see. What came next would change everything, and no one saw it coming. Before the cameras, before the controversy, before the viral whisper that shattered their bond, there was laughter. There were long phone calls filled with encouragement, late-night texts about love and ambition, and two women who genuinely seemed to understand each other. To the world, Serena Williams and Meghan Markle were the embodiment of sisterhood, two powerful women defying expectations, holding hands as they climbed toward greatness. But beneath the glow of that perfect friendship was a quiet imbalance, a friendship built on uneven ground, destined to crack under the weight of fame. It began in 2010 in Miami. The Super Bowl party that year was legendary. Athletes, actors, CEOs, and Hollywood elites under one roof, celebrating the game and the spotlight. Meghan wasn't famous yet. She was a rising actress with a radiant smile, known for small roles and an even bigger ambition. She mingled effortlessly, charming people who didn't yet know her name. Serena, already a global icon, was there as the reigning queen of tennis, confident, adored, unstoppable. They met near the bar, introduced by a mutual acquaintance. Meghan complimented Serena's dress. Serena laughed, complimented her laugh. It was effortless, the kind of instant connection that happens when two people see something familiar in each other. Drive, maybe, or hunger. They exchanged numbers that night, not knowing that one day their friendship would become front-page news. At first, it was genuine. They bonded over the shared experience of being women constantly underestimated. Serena for her power, Meghan for her ambition. They cheered for each other. When Meghan landed her role on Suits, Serena texted congratulations. When Serena won another Grand Slam, Meghan posted glowing support online before it became fashionable to do so. But as Meghan's career began to rise, something subtle changed. The friendship that had started as mutual respect slowly began to tilt toward dependence. Meghan began referencing Serena more often in interviews, always aligning herself with her friend's strength. Serena's been such an inspiration, she'd say. She's taught me so much about grace under pressure. It sounded flattering, and it was, but it also felt calculated. Serena, on her part, didn't seem to mind at first. She'd always been generous with her praise, proud of women who fought their way up. But friends close to her noticed a shift. Meghan's texts grew more frequent, more strategic. She wanted Serena at events, in photos, at dinners. The friendship that had once been personal was becoming public property, and Serena, ever protective of her private life, started pulling back. Still, when Meghan began dating Prince Harry, Serena was one of the first to know. The texts reportedly poured in. "Can you believe it? It feels like a fairy tale. I think he's the one." Serena listened, supportive but cautious. "Take your time," she told her friend. "The world's going to change once people find out." She was right. The announcement of Meghan and Harry's relationship sent shockwaves through the world. Suddenly, Meghan wasn't just an actress. She was the woman who had captured a prince's heart. The media obsession was immediate, brutal, and relentless. Through it all, Serena stood by her friend. When tabloids painted Meghan as manipulative, Serena spoke up in interviews, defending her character. "She's one of the kindest people I know," Serena told reporters. "People don't know what it's like to live under that kind of scrutiny." Their bond seemed unbreakable. Meghan attended Serena's wedding to Alexis Ohanian in 2017, a lavish, star-studded affair that blended glamour with authenticity. Photos from the event showed Meghan beaming, arms around Serena, both women glowing. It looked perfect, but perfection doesn't last. After Meghan married Prince Harry, things began to change. The royal lifestyle came with rules, protocol, image management, calculated appearances. Every friendship became a potential headline. Serena, now viewed as part of the royal couple's celebrity circle, suddenly found herself in the crossfire of royal commentary. When Meghan attended Wimbledon in 2019 to support Serena, the visit made headlines for all the wrong reasons. Meghan's bodyguards allegedly told fans not to take photos, sparking accusations of arrogance. Serena was blamed by association. Her team had to step in to protect her reputation, and while Serena never said anything publicly, insiders said the incident strained their relationship. Privately, Serena began creating distance. "She loves Meghan," one friend reportedly said, "but she doesn't love the circus that comes with Meghan." Yet Meghan, perhaps unintentionally, continued to use the friendship as a shield. When the royal press attacks grew worse, she would bring up Serena in interviews, not as a gossip topic, but as an emblem of strength. "Serena always reminds me to be true to myself," she'd say. "She's my rock." But rocks can't hold up an image forever. By the time Meghan and Harry stepped down from royal duties in 2020, Serena had learned to tread carefully. She didn't publicly criticize Meghan. She simply went silent. The world noticed. When Oprah's explosive interview aired, Serena tweeted support, but it was brief, impersonal. Gone were the lengthy captions and emotional outpourings. Just a few words, "So proud of you, my friend. Stay strong." To most people, it seemed fine. But to those who understood PR language, the message was clear. Serena was drawing a line. What people didn't know was that behind the scenes, Meghan was struggling. The Netflix deal was underperforming, public opinion was divided, and she was losing allies fast. She needed familiar faces, ones that reminded the world of her early days, her humanity. Serena was the obvious choice. According to a source close to Meghan's team, she reached out multiple times in late 2024, suggesting a fun reunion moment for charity. Serena politely declined each time. "I'm busy," she'd say. "Maybe another event." But Meghan persisted. "Come on, it'll be great optics," she allegedly told a mutual contact. "It'll remind people of what they loved about us." Optics. That word was the death knell of their friendship. Because for Serena, friendship had never been about optics. It was about trust, about showing up when no one's watching, not when the cameras are flashing. And that was the one thing she felt Meghan no longer understood. Still, Meghan wasn't ready to let go. She believed that proximity to Serena could reignite her fading goodwill. The Baby2Baby Gala became the perfect stage, a charity event centered around motherhood, compassion, and community. Serena was already on the guest list. All Meghan needed to do was get seated near her. Her PR team made calls, arranged details, even suggested a spontaneous photo moment for the press. "It'll look like a reconciliation," one advisor said. Two powerful women, back together for a good cause. But what they didn't account for was Serena's quiet strength. Because by then, Serena had already made peace with walking away. She didn't need to announce it. She didn't need to explain. She just needed to protect her space. And so, when that night came, when Meghan reached out and grabbed her hand, it wasn't a new betrayal. It was the final confirmation of something Serena had known for a long time. This friendship wasn't about connection anymore. It was about control. Let's stop and ask, how many friendships fall apart not because of hatred, but because one person outgrows the illusion the other is still trying to sell? How often do people cling to someone not because they love them, but because they represent something they miss about themselves? That was Meghan that night, reaching for the version of herself she'd lost, the one that looked strong standing next to Serena Williams. But Serena didn't reach back, and that's what made it powerful. Still, the history between them wasn't all manipulation. There had been real moments, genuine laughter, shared memories, real affection. Meghan had once confided in Serena about feeling isolated in the royal family. Serena had listened, offered advice, even connected her with mental health professionals. Meghan had gifted Serena's daughter a tiny silver bracelet with the initials OO engraved, Olympia Ahanian. It wasn't all fake. It just got lost along the way. And that's the tragedy of their friendship. Not that it ended, but that it became unrecognizable even to the people living it. After the gala, reporters tried to spin the narrative as rivalry. But in truth, it was something quieter, sadder. Serena wasn't angry. She was done. And Meghan wasn't malicious. She was desperate. Two women who had once shared laughter now stood on opposite sides of the same mirror, both reflecting what the other feared becoming. That's why the Baby2Baby moment hit so hard. It wasn't just a physical rejection, it was symbolic. The end of a chapter written in glossy magazine covers, public defenses, and stage smiles. Still, that wasn't the full story. Because just days before the gala, before the lights, the gowns, and the viral moment, Meghan had made one final attempt to mend the image, not the friendship. A private phone call, a desperate plea. And when Serena heard what Meghan said during that call, she knew the friendship was over for good. It wasn't about forgiveness anymore. It was about boundaries. Because as one source close to Serena later said, that call told her everything she needed to know. Meghan wasn't trying to reconnect. She was trying to recruit. And once you see someone's true intention, you can't unsee it. What happened on that phone call would explain every expression, every gesture, every tense moment at that table. Because when Meghan dialed Serena that night, she didn't just want support. She wanted strategy. And what she said on that call, it was the spark that lit the fire the world saw explode on gala night. But that story, that private conversation that changed everything, comes next. And when you hear it, you'll understand why Serena Williams whispered those words, and why she never looked back. What came next would change everything. It was late. The kind of Los Angeles night where the air feels heavy, where silence seems to hum against the walls. Serena Williams had just finished putting her daughter to bed when her phone buzzed, an unknown number with a California area code. She almost ignored it. Almost. But instinct told her who it was before she even picked up. She answered with a calm, wary tone. "Hello." The voice on the other end was cheerful, too cheerful. "Serena? It's Meghan." A pause. just long enough for the tension to be felt through the line. Serena exhaled slowly, leaning against the kitchen counter. "Meghan," she said, flatly polite. "It's been a while." And just like that, an old door creaked open. Meghan's tone bubbled with rehearsed warmth. I know. I've been meaning to call, but everything's been such a whirlwind. You know how it is." Serena didn't answer right away. She'd learned long ago that silence made people show their true intent. Meghan filled the space quickly. "I just wanted to check in, see how you've been, and, well, to tell you I'll be at the Baby2Baby Gala next week." "Are you going to?" There it was. The reason. Serena had been invited months ago. She attended every year. It was one of the few events she genuinely loved, not for the red carpet, but for the cause. She didn't do it for publicity. She did it for the kids, for the mothers who needed support. But hearing Meghan bring it up felt different. It felt like bait. "Yeah," Serena said, her voice neutral. "I'll be there." "Oh, that's wonderful," Meghan said quickly, relief slipping into her voice. "It's been so long since we've been seen together. I think people would love that. Don't you?" Serena's hand gripped the counter a little tighter. The words "been seen together" landed exactly the way she feared they would. This wasn't about catching up. It was about optics. "Meghan," she said quietly, "what is this really about?" There was a pause, a breath. Then Meghan's voice softened, lowering into something that sounded almost vulnerable. I miss my friends, you know? Everything's been so negative lately. The press, the criticism, the betrayal. I just thought maybe we could show them that real friendship lasts. That I'm not what they say I am." The line went quiet. Serena could hear the subtext screaming louder than the words. "You want to use the gala," she said finally. "You want people to see us together so it changes the story." No. Meghan protested quickly, her voice rising in faux shock. "Of course not. I just thought, after everything, it would be healing. For both of us." Serena closed her eyes. She'd heard this tone before, the tone Meghan used when she wanted something dressed in empathy. "I'm not angry, Meghan," Serena said softly. "But I'm not doing this for show. I'm going there for the cause, not the cameras." "I understand," Meghan said, though her tone tightened. "I just think it could mean a lot to people. To see us, side by side again. Strong women supporting each other, despite the noise." Serena didn't respond. She'd spent decades under the weight of public perception. She knew when someone was trying to orchestrate an image. Then Meghan said something that made Serena's stomach drop. "I've already spoken to Baby2Baby's PR team," she said. "They think it would be great for the gala if we were seated together. Imagine the headlines. Serena and Meghan reunite for a good cause. It's perfect timing." Serena's voice went cold. "You arranged that?" "Well, I made a suggestion," Meghan said lightly, as if talking about the weather. "I mean, it's not a big deal. They loved the idea." Serena's silence was long enough that Meghan tried to fill it. "I know things have been tense, but you have to admit, it would be a nice full-circle moment. You've always believed in empowering women, and I." Serena interrupted, her tone steady but cutting. "This isn't empowerment, Meghan. It's PR." The words hung there, sharp and unmoving. For the first time, Meghan hesitated. "I didn't mean it like that," she said softly. "I just thought maybe if people saw us together again, it would remind them of who we really are." "Who we are," Serena said slowly. "Or who you need them to think you are?" The silence on the other end was deafening. Meghan finally sighed, her voice trembling, but it wasn't sadness. It was frustration. "You've changed, Serena." Her heart pounded, not from guilt, but from fear. She was losing control of her narrative. The Netflix deal had gone cold. The podcast wasn't renewing. The press was merciless. Serena had always been her trump card, the one friend whose credibility could instantly silence critics. But now, even Serena was slipping away. Her team had warned her that public sympathy was fading. "People think you're isolated," her advisor had said bluntly. "You need a show of support, someone the public trusts." Serena's perfect. The reunion narrative is gold. So she'd made the call, and it hadn't gone how she expected. Now she sat there, scrolling through old photos of the two of them, laughing at Wimbledon, hugging at her wedding, smiling in selfies that once felt real. She whispered to herself, "I just need one picture. One moment. That's all." But she didn't realize how obvious her intentions had become. To Serena, the call had been a red flag. To Meghan, it was a lifeline. But both women were walking toward the same stage. carrying completely different truths. The week leading up to the gala was full of whispers. PR circles buzzed. A few insiders leaked that Meghan was planning a powerful appearance and that a special reunion might be in the works. Serena's name came up repeatedly. When one journalist texted Serena's assistant asking for comment, the reply was simple: no statement. That phrase, no statement, became the unofficial battle line. Serena would show up as herself, on her terms. Meghan would show up as the brand she'd created. The collision was inevitable. The night before the gala, Serena confided in her husband, Alexis. "I just want a quiet night," she said, curling up on the couch. "If she wants a photo, I'll deal with it politely. But I'm not playing along." He nodded. "You don't have to explain yourself to anyone. You've done enough pretending for other people." Serena smiled faintly. Exactly. Meanwhile, across town, Meghan was rehearsing in front of her mirror. The smile, the timing, the gestures. Every movement calculated for the cameras. Her stylist fussed with her gown. Her assistant practiced how to subtly alert photographers when the moment happened. They were ready for a reunion the world hadn't asked for. But what Meghan didn't realize was that Serena was ready too. Not for the cameras, but for closure. Because that phone call had already given her all the answers she needed. She knew Meghan would try something. She knew the narrative would twist. But she also knew her own strength. When Meghan reached for her hand that night, Serena wouldn't just see a friendly gesture. She'd see every conversation, every subtle manipulation, every moment where kindness had been turned into currency. And that's why her reaction wasn't surprise, it was resolve. So when she whispered, "Let go of my hand," it wasn't spontaneous. It was the echo of that phone call, the final chapter in a friendship that had quietly ended long before the cameras flashed. That call became legend after the fact, leaked through fragments and anonymous sources. Some say Meghan mentioned saving face. Others claim Serena warned her not to make a scene. The truth, as always, lies somewhere between the lines. But one thing is certain. That conversation changed the energy of everything that followed. Serena went to the gala knowing exactly who she was. Meghan went trying to remind the world of who she used to be. One sought authenticity. The other sought validation. And when those two forces collided under the golden lights of the Baby2Baby Gala, the result was explosive. Because sometimes the breaking point doesn't come with shouting or tears. Sometimes it comes quietly, in a whisper, in a glance, in a hand that refuses to hold back. And the moment that hand slipped away, the truth finally showed. But this wasn't the only thing Meghan's PR machine had planned. There was more to come, something far more invasive, far more desperate. Because when that viral video spread across social media, Meghan didn't back down. She doubled down. And her next move? It would cross a line that even Serena never saw coming. What happened after the gala would turn a private humiliation into a global reckoning. And no one, not even Meghan herself, could stop what was coming next. The night of the 2025 Baby2Baby Gala had arrived. Outside, Los Angeles glittered like a sea of stars, as if the city itself was trying to compete with the chandeliers inside the Pacific Design Center. Inside, the gala was already humming with energy, a delicate balance of elegance, power, and performance. Celebrities floated from table to table, wine glasses glinting in the golden light, waiting for their moment in the spotlight. And there, near the front, at table 3, sat two women whose connection had once been celebrated around the world, now poised on the precipice of public implosion. Meghan Markle arrived in her gown, the same off-white Dior satin she had carefully rehearsed with her stylist, adjusted to drape perfectly at every angle. Her hair was styled flawlessly, her makeup poised somewhere between radiant and deliberate, every contour chosen to catch the light just right. She had a mission tonight, not charity, not philanthropy, but perception. She needed to look like the gracious, relatable, and empowered friend. She needed Serena Williams. Serena arrived shortly after, her emerald green gown hugging her figure with a quiet elegance that demanded attention without asking for it. She moved through the room like she owned nothing but her presence. No entourage, no earpiece, no script. Her demeanor was composed but watchful, every movement measured, every glance precise. She had a simple goal tonight: do the work, support the cause, maintain her dignity. As the evening unfolded, the gala's energy swelled. The speeches were polished, the donations impressive, the children adorable. But at table 3, tension grew with each passing moment. The old dynamic of warmth and camaraderie had shifted, replaced by something invisible but palpable, a silent battle for control. Guests who were seated nearby later reported the subtle signs that hinted at what was about to happen. Meghan laughed a little too loudly, gesturing toward donors and trying to catch the eyes of photographers. Serena nodded politely, but her smile was controlled, her eyes scanning the room for escape routes rather than applause. The contrast between them was glaring. One woman was performing, the other simply existing. And then it happened. At first, it was subtle, a leaning forward, a hand resting briefly on Serena's arm as Meghan attempted to draw her into conversation. But then, as the cameras flashed and the room quieted during one of the speeches, Meghan made her move. She reached across the table, fingers curling delicately around Serena's hand, attempting to pull it toward herself with a smile that was just wide enough to be believable. To anyone watching, it might have looked like a friendly gesture, a simple acknowledgement of friendship. But Serena saw it differently. Her instincts, honed over decades on courts where a single misjudgment could cost a match, told her exactly what this hand meant. It wasn't friendship. It was control. It was optics. It was an attempt to script reality, to create an image of unity that did not exist. Serena's hand froze. Her jaw tightened. The muscles in her face stiffened as she weighed her options. She could pull away subtly, disengage quietly, or she could assert herself. And that is what she did. "Let go of my hand," she whispered. The words were calm, measured, but they struck like a thunderclap. Meghan's smile faltered, just for a fraction of a second, before she adjusted, trying to mask her reaction. The grip on Serena's hand loosened slightly, but Meghan did not withdraw completely. Her eyes darted toward the cameras, silently pleading. If they could capture the moment just right, the narrative would still favor her. But Serena wasn't interested in a narrative tonight. She was interested in truth. Guests at the table felt it immediately. The air around them thickened with tension. Conversations halted, forks hovered over plates, and some nearby attendees whispered to each other. One celebrity remarked later that it was like watching a storm roll in without seeing the clouds. The next few moments were almost cinematic in their tension. Meghan attempted to continue the conversation as if nothing had happened, but her gestures became sharper, more deliberate. Serena responded with politeness, nodding, engaging minimally, her focus elsewhere. The contrast between performance and authenticity was glaring. Witnesses later described a subtle battle of micro-expressions. Meghan's eyes flicked to the cameras multiple times, attempting to maintain the illusion of warmth. Serena's gaze remained steady, grounded, her lips pressed together in a line that conveyed more than words ever could. Every photographer in the room captured the moment from multiple angles, and within minutes, the clips were circulating among paparazzi, producers, and social media managers. Behind the scenes, Meghan's team was in a frenzy. Hand signals were passed, whispers exchanged, strategies adjusted on the fly. They instructed Meghan to hold the hand lightly, smile naturally, don't let her pull away too abruptly. But Serena ignored it all. She wasn't performing for anyone. She was present, fully aware of the manipulation, fully aware of the optics, fully aware of what this moment represented. And then, the first whispers started to circulate. A guest seated a few tables away said, "Did you hear that? Did she just?" Another replied, "Yes. She said it. Let go of my hand." The words traveled faster than any photo. Smartphones flashed, video recordings captured audio, and by the end of the evening, the clip had already begun making its way onto social media platforms. But what people didn't see, what the cameras couldn't capture, were the layers beneath that simple gesture. The history, the phone calls, the subtle tension that had been building over years. Serena's resistance was not just about that moment. It was about a pattern. It was about years of navigating a friendship that had begun to blur the line between genuine connection and public performance. Insiders reported that Meghan had attempted multiple gestures throughout the night, leaning in during speeches, whispering comments, attempting to create small photo ops with other guests nearby. Serena responded consistently with calm detachment. Her focus remained on the cause, the children, the donors, not the narrative Meghan was trying to construct. As the evening progressed, Meghan became more desperate. She attempted one final approach, leaning closer, trying to engage Serena in conversation that would be overheard by the press, her hand grazing Serena's arm once again. But Serena remained unmoved. Her jaw set, her eyes unwavering, her hand firmly disengaged. The whispered words echoed in the air. "Let go of my hand." It was more than a rejection. It was a boundary, a declaration of autonomy, a silent assertion of self. And for those watching, even in the audience of stars, it was a moment of clarity. Serena was not just a guest at the gala. She was a force unto herself, unwilling to be manipulated, unwilling to be used, unwilling to be drawn into someone else's narrative. The cameras captured the moment perfectly. The social media teams and journalists who received early clips recognized its viral potential immediately. "This is gold," one PR agent allegedly said. "The world will eat this up." But the fallout wouldn't be immediate. Meghan attempted to salvage the optics, smiling for a few staged photographs, laughing with nearby guests, trying to mask the tension. Serena continued her evening with grace, moving from table to table, engaging donors, taking photos with children, signing autographs. The juxtaposition could not have been clearer, one woman performing, the other living in authenticity. By the end of the night, the gala was over, the attendees departed, but the tension remained, both in the air and on social media. The clip of the hand grab and the whispered words began circulating immediately, generating commentary, memes, and viral discussions. Analysts dissected every second, every expression, every microgesture. And in those analyses, one theme emerged: Serena had won. It wasn't a battle of malice. It was a demonstration of control, autonomy, and the refusal to be manipulated. And for Meghan, it was a moment of reckoning. But as anyone in Hollywood knows, a single moment can spark a chain reaction. While the gala concluded without incident, the implications of that hand grab would ripple outward in ways no one could have anticipated. The narrative would shift. Public perception would waver. Alliances would be tested. And behind the glitter and gold, a deeper drama was about to unfold. One that would involve leaked videos, private conversations, and the revelation of a friendship fractured long before the cameras caught it in motion. And the question everyone would soon ask themselves: what comes next when a boundary is crossed publicly, intentionally or not? What happens when power, perception, and friendship collide under the harsh glare of celebrity scrutiny? The answer wouldn't be simple, but it would be explosive. Because the moment Meghan's fingers curled around Serena's hand, she didn't just touch her friend. She triggered a chain of events that would expose secrets, test loyalties, and reveal truths neither woman could fully control. In the next chapter, the whispers backstage, the footage no one was supposed to see, would show the world exactly how far Meghan was willing to go and exactly how Serena would respond. What came next would change everything, and no one saw it coming. The whisper was barely audible in the grand room of the Pacific Design Center. A gentle breath of words, soft enough that only a few could catch it. And yet, when Serena Williams leaned slightly toward Meghan Markle and said, "Let go of my hand," the world paused. Not just the guests at the gala, not just the cameras. The entire internet seemed to hold its breath. In that single, simple phrase, something monumental had occurred. It was a 5-word sentence, whispered with quiet precision, yet packed with decades of history, frustration, and unspoken truth. It carried a weight that few understood at first glance. To anyone who had not followed their friendship, it might have looked like a simple request, polite, discreet, perhaps even mundane. But those who knew them, those who understood the dynamics of friendship in the public eye, instantly recognized it for what it was: a line in the sand, drawn so sharply it could cut glass. The moment was caught on multiple cameras, though the audio wasn't clear to every observer at first. Some noticed the change in Serena's posture, the way her hands stiffened under Meghan's, the tightening around her jaw. The world would later get crystal-clear audio through a combination of professional cameras, audience smartphones, and leaked backstage footage. And when it went viral, the phrase exploded beyond comprehension. Social media erupted within minutes. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all platforms buzzed with curiosity, judgment, and debate. Memes flooded in. Some celebrated Serena's courage, others mocked Meghan's desperation. Analysts dissected body language frame by frame. The New York Times culture section ran a feature analyzing the moment, breaking down micro-expressions in a frame-by-frame study. Vanity Fair followed with a deep dive into the history of their friendship, highlighting the contrast between public support and private tension. Analysts described Serena's reaction as a masterclass in controlling optics without speaking loudly, noting her ability to assert authority in a room designed for performance. Meanwhile, Meghan's publicists scrambled. Press releases were drafted, carefully worded statements circulated, and social media teams worked overtime to adjust narratives. The moment has been taken out of context, one spokesperson reportedly said. Serena and Meghan have always shared a close bond. This was a light-hearted interaction misunderstood by viewers. But in the age of virality, context is a fleeting concept. The whisper had already transcended narrative control. Yet behind the public spectacle, the emotional layers were more complex. To Serena, the moment wasn't about humiliation. It was clarity, a reaffirmation of personal boundaries. The hand grab wasn't friendly. It was performative. It was a calculated attempt to use her presence as a prop in a narrative Meghan had designed for public consumption. Serena's whisper wasn't just a refusal. It was a statement of identity. Friends of Serena who witnessed the event from nearby tables described the scene as tense but calm. She didn't yell. She didn't make a scene, one source explained. She simply let Meghan know that enough was enough. It was quiet, dignified, and powerful. Everyone around the table could feel the shift. You could almost hear a collective intake of breath. The phrase, simple as it was, encapsulated the imbalance of their relationship. Meghan had been holding onto an image of control, of admiration, of sisterhood, all while the true dynamic had quietly shifted over the years. Serena's whisper served as a reminder. One cannot manipulate someone who knows their own value. One cannot stage affection when the foundation of trust has already been eroded. But what made it particularly dramatic wasn't just the whisper itself, it was Meghan's reaction. The cameras caught it. Her initial attempt to maintain composure, the subtle flicker in her eyes, the half-smile that wavered and then stiffened. She tried to mask the shift with a laugh, a tilt of the head, a gentle repositioning of the hand. But it was too late. Every gesture, every calculated motion was now under scrutiny. Every subtle imperfection became a viral talking point. And the world noticed. By midnight, hashtags had gone global. Analysts, influencers, and journalists debated the meaning. Was Meghan desperate for validation? Was Serena asserting dominance in a subtle but undeniable way? Or was it both? Every interpretation seemed plausible, and the ambiguity only fueled discussion. Memes circulated, ranging from humorous exaggerations to sharp, critical takes. One viral clip slowed the video to half speed, highlighting the tension in the hand and the expressions of both women. Comments poured in, some in awe of Serena's poise, others critical of Meghan's persistence. Yet the real story wasn't just the viral moment itself. It was what had led to it. The history, the phone calls, the subtle power plays. This five-word whisper was not an isolated event. It was the culmination of years of shared experiences, mismanaged expectations, and carefully orchestrated public appearances that had silently eroded trust. And it wouldn't be the last time the world would hear of it. Because while the gala ended, the viral spread of the clip set off a series of events Meghan could not control. Late-night talk shows dissected it frame by frame. Commentators debated the emotional stakes, and even sports networks, ones that rarely covered Hollywood drama, reported on Serena Williams asserting boundaries in front of Meghan Markle. The line between celebrity gossip and global news had blurred, and the 5 words uttered quietly at Table 3 now carried historical weight. In the following days, public discourse was divided. Some praised Serena for setting a precedent in personal boundaries and female empowerment. Others criticized Meghan for misreading social cues and overstepping. But through it all, one thing remained undeniable. The whisper had created a watershed moment. It crystallized the end of a friendship, not with a stormy argument, but with quiet, unflinching clarity. Social media didn't just share the moment, it amplified it. Short clips, slow-motion analyses, reaction videos, even AI-generated reenactments began circulating. Influencers debated who won and who lost, while media outlets ran op-eds on the implications of boundaries in high-profile friendships. Psychologists weighed in, analyzing why Serena's calm, controlled delivery had made such a global impact. It's about confidence, assertiveness, and self-respect, one expert explained. When you witness someone maintain composure in the face of a potential public humiliation, it resonates universally.